Judgment Day, fire and brimstone. That is what the vision and the thought that came to mind when I read these readings over the past week. In the first reading from Malachi, the day is coming, blazing like an oven. They will be turned into stone. They will be set on fire. In the gospel reading from Luke, Jesus is telling the disciples that at the end of times, there will be powerful earthquakes, famines, plagues, and wars. And even St. Paul is telling the Thessalonians, stop acting in the ways that are not in alignment with the teaching that they have received. What a group of readings this week. They seem to have a bit of negativity theme, don't they? What can be the underlying message that God wants us to hear this week? Where does He want us to focus? I believe He wants us to focus on Him. With Advent nearly upon us, what better time than now to focus on Him? I believe these readings are fitting and relevant, urging us to keep our eyes fixed on the Lord. They are a heavy warning if we begin to lose our place or focus on the Lord, just like the Beatitudes were a reminder a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine called the Beatitudes the mission statement of Christianity. These readings are the result of what could happen if we don't adhere to the Beatitudes, if we do not keep our eyes fixed on the Lord. In the first reading, if we are the proud or the evildoers, as mentioned, we can expect to be reduced to small. But if we adhere to the Beatitudes, putting God first in our lives, we can hope for it as stated in the last sentence. But for you who fear my name, the Son of Justice will arise with healing in its wings. What this means to me is that those who have reverence for God and follow His ways, we will be protected or have protection by the Lord from all those who want to do us harm, and that He will give us more than enough grace to sustain us for the trials in life. In the Gospels, the disciples are worried of when the end of days will be, or about what signs they should take notice so that they are prepared. Jesus tells them exactly what will happen. There will be false teachers that will say that they are He. They will be arrested and thrown into prison. Their own family members will turn against them. But not to worry, for when they are to speak in their own defense, Jesus will give them the words to say. And if we stay true to what we have been taught, not even a hair in your head will be destroyed. As I reflected on these readings this week, I saw today is the feast day of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini. Some may know the saint as Mother Cabrini. She is a great example of someone who kept her eyes fixed on the Lord. Herself and 7 other women founded the Institute of Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus in 1880. Mother Cabrini and her sisters wanted to go be missionaries in China. However, Pope Leo XIII had a different idea. She was to help the Italian immigrants that were already here in the United States. It is in Europe where she started the schools, the orphanages, and the hospitals. 67 total throughout the United States to help those in need. Pope Pius XII canonized her on July 7, 1946, making her the first United States citizen to be canonized. Why am I mentioning Mother Cabrini in these readings? After reading about her life and the struggles that she faced, I see the similarities in the readings today, the fire and the brimstone in her life. Mother Cabrini dealt with a lifelong illness due to her being born 2 months prematurely. She was one of 13 children, and of those, only 3 of her siblings survived past adolescence. She wanted to go to China, but the Pope sent her to New York instead. It was a new world that was full of chaos and poverty. The original house for the orphanage that was promised by the Archbishop was no longer available and was told to go back to Italy. It seems that every direction that she went, it was more difficult or hardship to be found. Even with all these challenges she faced, she was known to be very prayerful. She kept her eyes fixed on the Lord. Today we may find ourselves facing hardship or even disappointments, maybe even seem dark from our viewpoint right now, I am pretty sure that it seemed dark to the disciples on Good Friday and the following Saturday, which made Easter Sunday that much more glorious. In God's eyes,